Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Kombumerri people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, March 14. In Squiz Kids Today, the princess and the photo fail, Paris's space invaders, whirlpools from Mars, and the village covered in bird poo. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
It's the photo fail the entire world has been talking about. The royal photo scandal that has this week seen all sorts of crazy theories spin around the globe about the health of a future monarch, and seen a real-life princess apologise for being too heavy-handed with Photoshop. And it's enough of a reason for us to welcome Squizzy the Newshound to this end of today's podcast, because it's a perfect example of how important it is to always be on the lookout for fake news and misinformation. Hey, hello Squizzy. Now, you've probably seen or heard on the news this week that Catherine, the Duchess of Wales, who is married to Prince William and is the mum of the heir to the English throne, shared a photo of herself with her kids this week to social media. Very quickly, respected news agencies put out an alert that the photo had been manipulated, which is a fancy word for changed. Which is to say, if you looked really closely, you could see that photo editing software had been used to change certain aspects of the photo. Nothing dramatic, but enough to ring alarm bells. Because, the news agencies wondered aloud, if the photo had been altered, how can we trust the source? After a couple of days of silence, and with all sorts of crazy theories doing the rounds about what the fake photo meant, the princess was forced to put her hand up and admit she had altered the picture before sending it out. Another reason to always do as Squizzy constantly tells us, and that's to stop, think, and check whenever we come across a photo or video online that maybe looks a bit suspicious, and just to make sure that we're not being tricked. Because even a princess can be tempted by a bit of Photoshop. And teachers, parents, a reminder that Squiz Kids' very own free media literacy resource, Newshounds, is ready for your kids to jump into, teaching them to become critical consumers of media, a skill that quite clearly is only going to become more important as they get older. Check it out via our website, squizkids.com.au.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Paris, where a space invader has landed that's so big it can be seen from outer space. For the last 20-odd years, a mystery street artist has been roaming the streets of the French capital, usually under the cover of night, installing mosaics of space invaders on public walls. A mosaic is a design made with small square tiles, and a space invader is an alien character from a really old video game. So old, in fact, that I used to go down to the corner shop or gaming arcade with a pile of 20-cent pieces to play it there. Because that's how we played video games back in the day. The French street artist has installed more than 4,000 mosaics in Paris and in cities around the world, and has become so famous that an exhibition of his art has popped up in the City of Light in a multi-storey building, on the roof of which is a Space Invader mosaic that is so big it can be seen via satellite on Google Maps. A Space Invader on Earth seen from space. Cool.
Spaced out.
You've heard of whirlpools, right? When the water in the part of the ocean all starts to spin in one direction, creating a gravitational pull inwards and downwards. Maybe you've even made the odd whirlpool in your backyard pool. I used to love doing that in our old circular Clark rubber above ground beauty. Well, now there's evidence that throughout the history of the Earth, there have been times when the gravitational pull of Mars, the red planet in our solar system some 320 million kilometres away, has caused massive whirlpools down here in Earth's oceans. What the what? In a report published this week, Aussie scientists say that they have discovered evidence that every 2.4 million years, so not all that often, the Earth and Mars line up in the galaxy and have a push-pull effect on one another. And that's what causes enormous whirlpools to form in our oceans. Hear that? That's the sound of my mind being blown.
Animal Kingdom.
Hands up if you've ever heard of a starling. It's a little bird that flies around in flocks. Now, keep your hand up if you've ever heard of a murmuration of starlings. That's the name given to the spectacular displays flocks of starlings put on when they fly in formation, in twisting, turning synchronicity across the skies. I've stuck a link to video of the phenomenon in today's episode notes. Murmurations happen in places like England, and one village in particular in England is getting a heap of tourists coming to watch the starlings perform their remarkable mid-air aerobatics. The only problem, though, when you get thousands of starlings flying together in flocks in the sky above your village, you get a whole lot of bird poo down on the ground in your village. Bird poo on your house, bird poo on your car, on your footpath, your shops, your postbox, your footpaths, and bird poo on any humans and pets who dare to go outside. Proof that every cloud of birds has a stinky lining. Ah, it's my old friend the dad joke alarm. Haven't heard you for a couple of weeks. Must be off my game.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which planet do scientists reckon is responsible for ocean whirlpools down here on Earth? Yeah, that's right, it's Mars. Question number 2. What's the name of the video game character that mysteriously pops up all over Paris? Yeah, they're called Space Invaders. Question number 3. What sort of bird is pooping all over a village in England? Yes, of course, it's the starling. Ew.
Shout-outs.
It's March 14. Today is Albert Einstein's birthday, one of the smartest people in the history of ever. It's also International Pi Day. No, not the pies you eat, but the mathematical constant. Celebrating the mathematical constant that starts with 3.14159. It's also a very special day for these Squiz kids celebrating a birthday today. Patrick from Yass, Tommy from Unanderra, Anya from Doncaster East, Milan from Rochdale, Michael and Ivy from Sydney, Yelene from Ashmont, Anisha from Kellyville, Athos from Bexley, Lockie from Echuca, and Stella from DY. And classroom shout-outs today go to Class 6W with Mrs. Wilson at Gulgong Public School, Class 3 White with Ms. Hughes at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Primary School in Goodna, Class 3 Green with Ms. Searle at All Saints Primary School in Albany Creek, Class LA10 with Mrs. Joyce at Atwell Primary School, Class 3-4M with Ms. McFarlane at Mount Riverview Public School, and finally today, the classes with Mr. Graham and Ms. Menzies at Anzac Park Public School in Camaray. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the Kids vs. Adult Weekly News Quiz. Your chance to test to see who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. And remember, if you like what we do, tell your friends. Or even better, chuck us a like or a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's really important to help us grow and continue to do what we do, and to be able to make it available for free day after day. A small gesture from you that would be enormously appreciated by us. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.